Yeah. Anyway, he just looked so good in there, didn't he? He went in. Well, no, he didn't start off good, did he? He went in, looked a little bit off, got caught, and at that point, I think that's when the whole boxing world just went a little bit. It went into a little bit of a meltdown almost. We kind of thought we were about to see the monster actually look human, but he just recovered. He recovered well. Dropped him straight away. Well, not straight away, but dropped him in the round after in the second, and then from there it was kind of like right, Inoue's back in it now. And I feel like all the doubts that we did or were starting to have, I feel like they were erased very quickly. And what was another successful night for Inoue. Didn't see the history repeat in the Tokyo Dome where Mike Tyson got famously knocked out by James Douglas. But no, just what he's such an incredible fighter, man. He's such an incredible fighter. I don't really think there's anyone around it, any weight is above or below, that can stop him. He's fought the best, and every single time he just seems to keep going on and on this incredible run.
Oh, there's a bold claim there in there. Josh was saying that some of the fighters in the weights above might not be able to beat him. We'll discuss some of the featherweights and we'll get your thoughts and people in the chat as well too as to who might be a good, credible opponent for him. Maybe Sam Goodman, who's waiting in line. He had the opportunity to say, "Look, either fight me or vacate the belts." Maybe he's kind of wishing that he does vacate the belts and looks to climb up the divisions. But yeah, it was a very exciting fight. It was very much one of those moments there where I think Inoue was a little bit caught on the hop there. Not quite as big of a, although it kind of looked a little bit comical. And you would have thought with a fall like that and the way he was kind of open for the shot, it might have been more of a damaging shot. But Inoue seemed to have his, I think if it sort of kind of grazed the face almost. If Nery, sorry, had caught him a bit more flush, had Inoue been in more danger, probably another hypothetical situation that can be discussed in the future. But yeah, Inoue did have his feet around him, it seemed. I was looking at that while it happened. Inoue did seem composed, and Inoue was able to see and navigate out the round too, and get his own back as well. That composure of Inoue is one of those kind of key features, I think, which is kind of goes under the radar with his punch power being one of the main things that people have discussed about him, as well as his boxing pedigree. Just being composed in there, knowing when to strike and when to really kind of go for it, when to realize that he's got himself in a position to have been recovered from that shot from Nero was really enjoyable to see, and he was able to dispatch of Luis Nery with some more knockdowns on the way to a round 6 finish. It was a brutal finish as well too from Naoya Inoue. And it was just great to see him again out in action too. A lot of people when I say a lot of people, I want to retract that a little bit and say some Americans want to see him do it over in America. I don't think the Goodman fight, if it is to be Goodman, will happen over in America. That's most likely to happen over in Japan or Australia. Not sure about Goodman really as being the fighter to maybe contest with. In a way, he's a good, solid fighter. I don't think the resume is quite there yet. Although I was surprised that he did beat Race Aleem. I've probably favoured Aleem in that fight. Aleem was one of those where I remember when he was on the come up on some of the cards. I've forgotten the fighter's name. It's just jumped out of my head. That's quite annoying when that happens. But just jumped out of my head. He changes his hair color to represent a charity. Every one of his fights had blue hair and gold hair. It's jumped out of my mind. It will come back to me later on. But he was on one of those cards, and he looked raw, but he looked rugged and looked for a fight. Did Ray Salim back in the day, but he never really pushed on. I think, and that he was kind of shown wanting against Goodman. But that's probably maybe his best win going forward, and then into an Inoue fight. I wouldn't look to him as being the fighter that could maybe dethrone Naoya Inoue, but maybe a fighter up above might be able to do that. We'll discuss some of the options in a second. I'll come to the people in the chat first. We've got here saying that TBQ1, the Yanks pretend Bivol doesn't exist when discussing Canelo. I'm sure some of the Canelo team do that as well too. James Maloney, you're right, Foden. Bivol is too big unless he comes down. Hey, Foden isn't too bad of a comparison, Josh. In a way, getting dropped so heavy at such a low weight class shows me he definitely can't move up to 135. Gervonta would end him. That's a fantasy fight people have been building towards. And I have to give the credit where it's due as well. In the boxing news interview, I'm pretty sure he said he wouldn't want to take on Inoue. He doesn't think and factor into his mind about a possibility of fighting Inoue. I think the respect is there from Gervonta's side that he probably doesn't want to face one of his idols, or at least a fighter he respects greatly. But would be an interesting fight nonetheless if it could happen. I don't think he should consider it, like he's been saying before. Brett Stan Evangelista Jimentera. Good to see you on here. Great new name in here. So hopefully you're in here every week. Anyway, got his first knockdown of his career. Yeah, it was a shocking moment completely. One of those moments where you think a fight's going to go one way, but then you have those, well, his brother as well too. A bit of synchronicity earlier as well. Takuma Inoue also befell the same thing as well. Maybe they just wanted to match their careers up there. King David's return. Good to see you in here. King David's return. You mean who we should have fought as is mandatory? Not sure what you're discussing there. Anyway, simply different gravy. Could do with more of these bank holiday 1 p.m. shows. I agree with you. Would love to see him step up to 135 in the end and see how he does. Hello, lads. Is it fair to say that Canelo's had? I'm going to move on from that one. Anyway, can't stop him. You said how? How we got dropped by a small guy. Josh, imagine how hard you get KO'd by higher weight punches. We'll put some of the names to Josh in a second. Don't worry. We won't do them over, though. Get anyway over here at the Telford International Arena against Liam Davies, a fighter on the rise. Liam Davies has said as well, too, that he probably wouldn't want to face Inoue just yet. He knows how great of a task it would be. But think about the Liam Davies fight there. Josh will come to you in a second. Josh finally, Jivan Daliwal, Josh finally sorted the trim out. Looks fire. Fire emojis in the chat for Josh.
Finally getting some nice comments about the haircut. Buzzing. Finally. it's only took 2 lives to do it. Buzzing.
Inoue versus Brandon Figueroa. JTH fan club. Josh 6-degree hairline.
Okay.
Josh get them 90-degree corners. No capo. I know Japanese and have watched his Japanese interview, and he says in them he thinks he may not be able to perform well at 135. There you go.
That's interesting.
Now, seriously, Josh Howard in a way do it at 140, and he is ideal at his current weight. So let's start with Josh. You said here in a way will potentially clean up a higher weight. Starting off with one of our leading lights here. What about Liam Davies and Inoue at Telford Fantasy Fight or at Tokyo, whichever one, the glitz and the glamour of Telford or Tokyo? Don't fancy Liam Davies' chances against Naoya Inoue?
I mean, first of all, when we're talking about the location of the fight, would you rather sell it to a beautiful big 55,000-seater arena in Tokyo? Or would you rather have a lovely, beautiful fight week in the middle of November in Telford? Just think about it. In a 5,000-seat arena as well, 50,000 less people, probably not as busy. No, but actually talking about the fight now, not the location. Do you know what? British bias is going to kick in heavily here. It's going to. But I do kind of fancy Liam Davies' chances. I'm not saying he's the favourite by any means, and I'm not saying he beats him by any means. But I think people would definitely sleep on Liam Davies a lot more than what they would. But I think Liam Davies is going from strength to strength every single fight we've seen him in, especially when you look at the Baluta fight. Then you look at the Cunningham fight where he stops it in the first round. Then you look at the Lafamina fight in Manchester last year where he put Lafamina down, then got knocked down and then stopped him. Then obviously his most recent fight against Robles, who gave Lee McGregor a tough night, and when he beat him in Edinburgh, and Liam just obliterated him in 2. I might actually sound like Frank Warren right now talking about Liam Davies, but I do fancy his chances. However, I think Inoue is probably still a little bit too strong, probably way too quick. But I would definitely love to see the fight. I'd love to see a Brit get the opportunity, bring it to Telford, and I think it breaks records.